From the West Coast to the Gulf Coast, we're talking about the stuff that matters. You're listening to Lunch Money, and here's your hosts, Mike and Joaquin.
All right, so welcome, Tonya. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
We are very excited about having you on, and we have lots of good questions to ask you. So
Okay, I'll do my best.
let's do it.
No pressure at all.
Okay.
All right, well, let's get right into it. So tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you're from, your family.
Well, I'm from Southeast Texas. I have 3 sons. My husband and I have been married for 25 years this year.
Ooh, congrats.
Yeah, and we were in your neck of the woods, Joaquin, for our anniversary. North, we were in Napa and Carmel.
Nice.
Yeah, but yes, we loved it. It was amazing. We have 3 sons, 21, 18, and 12.
Wow.
So we're going to be parents forever in this house.
And I saw, I think you posted on Facebook, your son just voted for the first time, right?
He did. Both of them did, my oldest sons, because my oldest son wasn't old enough, in 16. So, and then my 18-year-old, yeah. And how fun was that? It was really neat to get to do that with him, I mean, I don't think they realize at this age what a privilege it is and, how important it is. And so, because I was trying to get my oldest son to go too, and he just didn't think it was that big of a deal. But, he's voting today. But yeah, it was so fun. It was, I was proud of him,
Yeah. My daughter, she just went and voted it was her first presidential election.
Right,
she voted in the last, I think, was it, House and Senate and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was her first presidential election. And her friend went, and they were on their way. And I got a phone call because they got a flat tire on the way to vote. So I had to run over there, go change her tire. And then we sent them on their way in the little donut in her friend's car. So
Nice.
they'll never forget that experience.
No, that's right. They won't.
Yeah. So your husband, his name, and what does he do?
Well, my husband's name is Bojack.
Bojack.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
a real Southeast Texas name, is it not?
That's an awesome name. He
Thank
sounds like a
you. Like that.
superhero.
Yeah, well, he is a superhero, actually. He's a super guy. He can do anything. So, but we own a company together, and so that's what we do. We, in all facets of our life, are intertwined. We work together. We're parents. We're married. So it's interesting. I mean, it's fun. We make a really good team. Who knew? As far as business goes, and so it's good. But we have to find the balance to kind of turn that off, and sometimes we don't, or we can't, So, but that's what we do. We own a fabrication company. We make things out of pipe and steel and metal for refineries and for anybody who wants something made out of metal and pipe or steel.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So first, let me say this before we get started. So Tonya is my cousin. We've been cousins our whole lives, and so
Our whole lives.
our whole life, yeah, as far as I can remember.
Since
how that
Mike
works?
was born.
I think so, yeah.
Because I'm the oldest in this group. Y'all be gentle with me.
Yeah. But so, she is one of the oldest cousins, right?
Yes,
in the family or whatever. Yeah,
I'm
so
up there.
But that's really cool. I want to kind of stop there for a second and talk about that dynamic of husband and wife working together, because that's rare. A lot like me personally, my wife and I, we run our house together, but she's like got more in her hands in the home.
Yeah.
As far as business goes, I've got my hands more in business, but but doing business together, that's could be very good or bad. So how do y'all make that work?
Well, I mean, we eased into it. Originally when he started our company, I stayed at home with our youngest son. And, as we grew, nobody's going to really take care of your business, like you.
Right.
You know that, Mike. And so, he just needed a little, every once in a while, just like a little input, or can you take care of this for me? Or can you oversee that? Because, it's pulling you in all directions. And as we grew, I just kind of slowly, got into it. And then, I started the office for him. That's what I did. That was my contribution. And then as we grew, we got a secretary and but I was just kind of on the sidelines, just kind of taking care of this and that, maybe a little bit, but mainly staying home. So we eased into it. And he's very business savvy. He's always been a businessman,
Right.
since, and so he's very keen in that. But I eased into it, and not knowing. I mean, I have a medical background. That's what I went to college for. So I don't have.
Oh, that's right. What did you go to school for?
I went to radiology school,
Oh, nice.
and then I was an instructor for for our local college for about 11 years. And
Wow.
so then this is a totally different,
Yeah.
totally different spectrum of. So I used into it, but
So what kind of person were you in, like, growing up? Like, were you very organized? Or
well,
were
I'm
you,
the
like, the life of
oldest.
the party?
Yeah. So I'm very organized. More type A.
Yeah.
Bossy.
I remember you were like a cheerleader and stuff like that.
I was a
like,
cheerleader, the peppy girl.
Yeah.
I was, the popular girl. And, that was a lot of fun. I mean, but as you get older, you kind of, now as I'm older, I'm kind of more of an introvert than I was in school. But, yeah, that's growing up.
So working together, how does that dynamic, just 24/7, you have
Yeah.
him by your side, is there any times where you feel more maybe agitated or irritated because it's just constantly being around him? Because I have a aunt and uncle who work together, and they have a solar business out here, and I do see instead of like, oh, okay, at least I can go to work for a few hours and have my own space.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's always 24/7, constantly around each other. And sometimes that can lead to an argument or a discussion where maybe otherwise you would go to work and it would cool off.
Ironically, no. I mean,
Nice.
no. We make a good. I think a bit being in business together. Sometimes it can break you. A lot of
Right.
people do, but we've just found we're a good team. There's a lot of mutual respect there. We respect each other's opinions or advice or take on it. We know that between the two of us, nobody's going to take care of it or has the best interests of it like we do. It's
Right.
ours, and it's how we support our family. And so no, we don't. Now,
Awesome.
when you said agitated, I thought you were going to ask me about maybe being out on a date, and and we do tend to on that downtime say, oh, you know what, and start talking about business, but we do have to reel it in,
Right.
because sometimes we don't speak all day about the details. We're just working together, and then later on, you kind of are decompressing from the day and little things come to you, and so you're on the patio, having a glass of wine, and then you start talking about it again. So we have to we have to find that balance. So
Right.
that can be agitating to us. Maybe not agitating is not the good word, but stressful, because
Right.
you don't turn it off.
Yeah,
your
well,
business
but that's-
partner's with you all
yeah.
the time. So whereas if your business partner wasn't living with you, you would talk to him about it the next day, or
Right.
maybe send him a quick text. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's a really healthy way to run a business with your partner, and it seems like it's working well for you. So congrats.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
That is awesome. That is great. I think one of the things that makes partnerships work, I have a business partner in business, and he's a brilliant guy. But one of the things that we figured out was that, hey, you've got your strengths.
That's right.
I've got my weaknesses, and vice versa.
That's
and
right.
I think where partnerships go wrong is that people try to either they don't check their egos,
That's
or
right.
they get insecure, and because he's good at something and I'm not,
Right.
now all of a sudden I'm jealous, or I get, whatever. And
Right.
you realize, hey, I'm not good at that. That's cool. That's why
Yeah.
we have a partner,
That's right.
Right.
And I guess
That's
the same
right.
thing in marriage too,
Yeah. It's totally, it's like life imitating art. That's how business is with marriage. Same thing.
Yeah.
I have my strengths and he has his strengths, but
Yeah.
our weaknesses, we rely on the other person, and we have no problem doing that. I mean, I'll say that's not my department, or, I'm something I may not know, or maybe I don't know how to handle that, exactly. So, and he does the same thing. So it's just mutual respect with any relationship, but absolutely the ego is there. I mean, at the end
Yeah.
of the day, he's the business person that has the most experience. I have found that I'm very business savvy. I have found, and that probably comes in with the cheerleader and the people skills there, where I'm a good salesman. And a lot of people respond to women in the sales department better than they respond to a man. So there's those strengths and weaknesses, and we do play off of those.
So what would you say to women that, because it sounds like you went to school, to be a radiologist, or be in radiology in some
Right.
aspect, and that it sounds like you were getting ready to start a career, but then it sounds like you chose to stay home and
Right.
be mom
Yeah.
for a season or for a while. So
Right.
what would you say to women who maybe, I know that's kind of in our generation growing up, housewives were, kind of looked down upon because, oh, well, you're not going to work, but now it's kind of different. Or how do you feel about all that dynamic?
Well, in my life, I have found that you just never know what's going to happen. You just never know. I would have never thought I would be a business person. I'm the president of the company that makes us a minority owned company. I have to step up for that. It's not just a title. They don't just hand those out, so
Yeah.
And that helps us in that way. But I would have never thought that. You kind of have this path, so you just never know what's going to happen. I'm a person of faith, and so I always think that, it's going to, I just think that the Lord he just puts me. It's like he plays my life personally with like chess pieces. It's always just have to embrace the next move. Like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
But as far as, so I think life can take you anywhere. I tell that to my college age son. He gets, frustrated with maybe not knowing what he wants to do for the rest of his life. And, I have to know right now. And so he just puts all that pressure. And I'm like, you don't have to know right now. You just have to start. Just put one foot in front of the other. We've owned many businesses since we've been married. And, you just never know where that's going to take you. So, I'd say just get started. But as far as a housewife, I have a big opinion about that because I have been a housewife and I consider myself a housewife. I can work from home or from my office, but maybe not full time anymore. But that is the biggest job. And it is not to be looked down upon. It is a huge job, and it's a lot of juggling, and it's a lot of balls in the air, and it's a lot of responsibility. And your partner, your husband, your partner, they rely on you. That's your department, as if you're in business. Well, that's your department. And so, and if you can be a good player as a housewife, then that gives, your partner the leeway to do their business, which is support the family. So just because you're not bringing in money, just because you're, doing the dishwasher all day or the laundry, those are all important keys to keeping your household running, to keep your kids, in a stable environment where they know what to expect. There's stability, there's consistency, and so being a housewife is, a huge deal. I remember asking my aunt one time, one of our aunts, Mike, she didn't work, and it's actually Aunt Beverly, and she didn't work. And so I asked her, one day when I was younger, like, do you sleep late? I was probably in junior high or high school. And, she was a housewife. And I thought, oh, how glamorous. She gets to sleep late. She probably watches soap operas, And I said, do you sleep late? And she said, no, I get up. And I said, why? And she said, well, because that's my job. And I never forgot that she said that, because as a mother, that is your job, So being a housewife it's easier to me to go to work, because I do both. I've done both, than it is to stay home. So to answer that question.
And then she just using her as an example, she went back to college.
Yeah.
After her kids were grown. I think she graduated with her son from college.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then she went to teach, and then she just retired from teaching.
Yeah, she was a teacher. So there again, you just never know. Just to young people, just get started. And then cards fall where they may. You make choices, and so yeah, it is overwhelming as a young person. Like that, but.
So my mom raised 3 boys, and so I'm curious to know, you're raising 3 boys, and what challenge is that in this day and age? You know.
Oh gosh, what
this is
challenges
gonna be
there?
good.
Yeah. Well, oh gosh, where do I start?
So let me start with this.
Okay.
How is it raising boys right now in a world of social media? You know, where there's the image of women has been changed
Yes.
for us males. You know, now it's been filtered. You know.
Yeah.
So how do you raise your boys to respect women or to find a mate in a world where this is, you know, going on?
Well, that's a very loaded question.
Yeah.
Social media to me is, you know, there are good aspects of it. The phone in itself, you know, there are good aspects of it. But the social media is so hard. I mean, because, you know, you're trying to raise these boys to be someone's husband one day. I mean, and to be, you know, the supporter and the protector and the lead of their house, and not to be like, you know, it's an equal partnership at our house. But, you know, I mean, so we have to, you know, the filtering, and it's just so, for example, it's such a loaded question. I hate it. Okay. I don't like the social media
Right.
for the kids. You know, it's like, what age do you let them start having social
Right.
media? What age do you let them have a phone? What age do you know, so with our oldest, he didn't get a phone until he was 12. We were very strict about it. Well, then our second son, you know, he got some good grades. And so 10. Well, so
Okay.
then with my youngest son, you know, I'm not sure what age he got it, but he's 12. And so maybe it was younger, you know, maybe 9. So, you know, with every one, of course, you've learned a little bit along the way with each one. But, you know, what age do you let them have Snapchat? What, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram, Snapchat,
Exactly.
Just
Facebook.
no. The answer to
Exactly.
that is no.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, and also there's a lot of legalities about social media. I mean, you know, what are you sending? What are you resending? What are you accepting? What's on your phone? You know, if you have a picture on your phone and for example, girls send pictures. They love to send pictures. Everybody's sending pictures. Everybody videos everything. So if you even have that on your phone, and maybe somebody sent it to you, even having it, you know, is against the law. And so, you know, it's just so, you know, and then, you know, boys want to resend it. Look how cool this is. So you have to be really careful with that, but also just the dialogue. I mean, with our youngest son, the dialogue is so heavy. And I think it's because of the social media. They see so much, they hear so much, they can see anything, they can look at anything.
Yeah.
You know, we have parameters on our youngest son's phone where we can read everything and see everything, and he knows that. But, you know, he does have a little Snapchat, but he's only the guys that he games with. And we can see those things, but, you know, it's
Do you ever
it's
do like
scary.
random phone checks? Just like, all right, give me your phone. I'm going to check
all
your
the
phone.
time.
All the
Absolutely,
time. Yeah.
all the time. And you know, there are advantages of it, not necessarily social media, but the technology. You know, we can look and see where our kids are. You know, they have those apps where you can follow
Yeah.
them, whatever. I don't follow them. I mean, my 2 oldest sons are, you know, they're and I never have followed them because to me that would drive me crazy. But I have friends who follow their children. You know, they're not even children; they're in college. But you know, oh, her phone battery only has 35%. Oh, you know, her phone, you know, her phone's going to die soon, and she's just constantly, you know, worried. You have to let them kind of go, you know, a little bit, but that is an advantage.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to do that. But
So do you think it's you just said letting them go. And so do you think it's an age or is it a maturity that you say, all right, this child is ready to like,
it's
let me cut
definitely
the,
maturity.
yeah, cut the apron
Definitely.
strings. And
I mean, I have 3 sons, and every one of them are so different.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law, my first son is like, you know, the first child, and never did a thing wrong in his life, and you know, just so pleasant, the best baby, the best everything. And then we were having our second son, and my mother-in-law said, you know, he won't be, you know, like the first one. And I said, oh, that just doesn't even make sense. You know, I mean, they're coming from the same place, the same people, the same house.
Yeah.
I mean, he came out just complete opposite.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we enjoy them all. We enjoy things about each of them. because they're different people, but it is a maturity. The oldest one is, has always been way more mature for his age, just with wisdom and just kind of knows things but the second one, no. And we love him for it. He's so much fun. He has an innocence about him. I mean, even though he's 18 years old, and so that there are enjoyable aspects of that. But as far as social media, oh boy, you have to watch that.
It's a minefield, huh?
It is a minefield. And the dialogue is so heavy on this social media. I mean, if you were to read these, my son he's in 6th grade now, but last year in 5th grade, you would read this, we use an app and we can go on there and read, and you're just like, I mean, why are these kids talking about this? Where are they getting this?
Yeah.
And you can be so mean now behind a phone, behind a computer. You can say anything you want.
Yeah.
And, things like girls of that age love to talk about suicide. Well, my son said suicide one day in the car, and I was taken aback. I said, how do you even know that word?
Yeah.
Oh, he knows that word.
Wow.
And so it's really heavy. Like, do they know what they're saying? You're not sure, but that can manifest itself, so you worry about things like that. So we follow that, and if you don't follow your kid, and a lot of people don't, anything could be being said, Yeah.
My wife and I have had the conversations, and I hope you're taking notes, Joaquin, because this stuff is all about to happen to you here
Yes, Joaquin.
in the next few years.
Uh-huh.
About helicopter parenting and stuff. And, I think that he's like, do you do that? And I think the answer is yes. You have to stay on top of your kids because nobody else is going to.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they're your responsibility. And, I think we live in a culture where the parents don't want to be uncool or don't want to
absolutely
embarrass their kids, or they want their kids to be cool like everybody else. But at the end of the day, it's like if you lose your kids, it's hard to get them back.
Well, you want your kids to like you,
Yes.
and you want to, like you said, you want to be cool, but it's our job to, I hope you are taking, this is gold, Joaquin. This is gold for you.
Yes.
In your bathroom with your shower curtain. This is
Yes.
gold, okay?
I'm just overwhelmed.
So, I'll send you the transcript later so that you
In
can
the
reread
pre-show,
it. This is great. This is
in
gold.
the pre-show, Tonya goes, Joaquin, are you in your bathroom? He's like,
Well, I'm not judging. That's a great place to be.
This is the best place to be.
If anybody was home here, I would be hiding in my bathroom. But this is gold for you. What were we talking about, Mike? Oh, yeah. Helicopter parenting. Yes.
Yeah.
You can helicopter parent without necessarily letting your children know that you're helicopter parenting. I check my son's dialogue every day on his phone. It alerts me if there's some strange word, if there's a bully word, if there's a word like mean or any name calling or anything that talks about alcohol or so it's alerting me all day because you could be talking about.
I didn't get that program for you. Is that's an app you're using?
It's an app. It's called Bark. It's Bark, and so it alerts me on my email. So all day long, I can, at any time, I'll say, well, what's being said or whatever. And so these keywords, and there's a gazillion keywords, but he doesn't necessarily know I'm helicopter parenting. He doesn't really know that. We had a conversation this morning. He likes this girl, and I said, well, you be very careful of what you're texting because her parents will be checking her phone just like we check yours. Yeah. And and you need to be a gentleman, and of course he thinks I'm ridiculous, like of course. But I want to remind him that that stuff is there, and it doesn't go away ever. So we do helicopter our parents. We live in a community where we know everybody and everybody knows us. So our kids can't get away with anything. So when we know things, because we'll always find out. Recently, our 18-year-old, this is the fabulously immature one that is so much fun, but you just wonder sometimes, like, where's the brain, and like there's no strategy. It's like, so we went out of town, and so he just went right up to the local store. him and his friends were going camping, and you know, they don't, and they really don't. I'm not just being naive. They don't drink or anything like that. You know, my oldest is 21 now, so he's in college, so he's kind of spreading his wings a little bit, but we've never had that problem. We can't get our kids out of our house. They just want to stay here, which is a great thing, because then everybody comes here. You know where they are, you know what they're doing, and we're totally great with that. But we went out of town, and I think he just was going to get brave, so he went down to the local store and was just going to buy some beer. Well, so that's hysterical to me, because first of all, we know, because somebody saw him. I'm not sure why he was thinking he could buy some beer with his driver's license when he's 18. So we didn't say anything. We just kind of, we didn't say anything. And so, a few weeks go by and he's going to go camping again. And I said, okay. I said, well, just be sure that, you maybe get someone to buy you some beer that's of legal age without, because you can't buy it because you're 18 and really you can't drink it. And he, how do you know that? And I said, so you can know things and kind of just hold it under your belt for a little bit. And they're just like, oh my gosh, they know everything. And, so that was just a funny story that we just thought was so comical. He didn't get the beer. Was he going to drink the beer? We don't know, whatever. But, but I think you can helicopter parent without letting them necessarily know, and without just harping all the time, because they do have to learn, by failure. And you hate that for your kids. You do. You hate to see them get their feelings hurt. You hate them you see them not make the, the starting team. You hate for them to, this person not to like them, but they have to learn those things, just like we did, just like we're adults. That's how we got here. And so, I think you can helicopter without letting them know. And, they do have to fail, or they do have to not be liked by someone. Everybody's going to like you. That's life, So,
unless you're like my mom, who actually went and bought the beer for you.
Well, there's that.
She wanted to be liked by all of my friends.
Well, my husband and I are complete opposites. We were raised completely opposite. I never drank. I never did any of that. Yeah. And he was the complete opposite. We'll just stop there. But so when our kids say oh, this, that, or the other, they're going to go do this, and my husband will say, I invented that. Like, that's not what you're going to do. That's not what happened. That's not how that goes. And they are just, and he'll know, and usually we'll have a little background info from somebody, but he'll say, I invented that game. That is not what's happening. But, so that's a plus, because raising boys, I always, one of our sons, I guess when he was about in 8th grade, I was noticing on his text messaging that he was starting to cuss more and more. And I was just appalled. I was like, he's not raised that way. What is he doing? And my husband said, well, he's a boy. And I said, well, I don't care, and it's not okay. And he said, well, I'm going to tell you that, of course we don't condone it, but he's going to cuss. Yeah. And, of course I was like, I just wasn't having it. And he said, he's a boy. He's going to cuss around his friends. And, I said, well, he will never cuss in front of me. And they don't. He said, no, he's not going to cuss. He's not trying to be cool in front of you, So those little tidbits, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I tell my friends that have younger sons than me, I'm like, well, they're boys. And so,
So, Joaquin, do you have any questions you want to jump in here?
There's just so much.
Oh, good.
Okay, yeah, it's just
good.
So the helicopter parenting. My mother was a little bit like that, but the technology wasn't there yet. So I would always know when she was helicopter parenting me.
Yeah.
So I don't know how things are now. I assume it's much easier to get away with, surveilling everything.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, where's that fine line where you have your sons have your trust 100%? Do you mean it, will that happen when you see them hit a maturity level where you're like, okay, I let go completely? Or where's that, like, fine line where it's like, okay, I trust my son 100% and I want them to trust me? So, like, where's that line as a parent,
Well, that's a good question. You probably have some good answers for that too, Mike, but it is a maturity level. So, our son is 21 now. He's an adult. We remind him all the time, I mean, it's on you, but you have to remember, that you're an adult.
Right.
Um,
Well, I
but
mean, you as parents are never going to stop being parents, right? That's what my
right.
mom tells me all the time.
Yeah,
Like,
never.
I don't care if you're 65 years old, if I'm alive and kicking, I'm still going to be parenting you,
That's
telling you what I think is best for you.
Right.
And
Whether
luckily,
you asked
like,
for it or not.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think I grew up with two amazing parents, and I'm lucky. I feel lucky and blessed for that, because I do understand there's people that don't have the luxury of having both parents, or it's just unfortunate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I remember my mom telling me this when I was very young. I think I did something dumb. I don't know, snuck out the house or something. And of course, parents know.
Yeah.
So she said, trust is like a nice glass vase. Once you break it, it's broken, and it's gonna be very hard to put it back together, and it probably won't be the same until a long time. So I remember that really like stuck with me for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I guess-
true.
I guess for me, me personally, my wife probably can speak a lot better to this than I can. But when I want to confront my son about something, I just sit him down. I don't ever try to embarrass him, but I always
Yes.
try to say, "Hey, look, this is what happened. Do you want to give me your opinion on this?" And then when I get him to open up, then I'm like, "All right, this is." I give them the truth. And I want them to know they can always speak to me. And that's the biggest thing is,
Yeah.
The trust that he has in me. I want to reciprocate it to him.
Yes.
But I'm honest with him. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is wrong. This
Well,
is
there
not
is
how
mutual
we do
respect,
things.
no matter
Yeah.
who the other person is. And they are kids, but you respect them, they
Yeah.
respect you. But there are boundaries. But
Yeah.
we always try to come from a place of non-judgment, because if you're judging them, they're
Yes.
not going to tell you. They're,
Right.
if you come from a place where I'm on your team, Dad and I are on your team.
Yeah.
We want what's best for you, and that's of course the truth. But parents can be that way, and we're not perfect by no means. But I try to always say, look, there's no judgment here. I mean, but you have to understand that this is whatever it might be, and we're honest too. I think that that's really a good key. If you're sneaking and you're and you're just always harping and nagging, I don't think it has the best effect, because then they want to hide it from you,
Right.
or
And
they
so
want to
having
erase
that-
it from their phone, or
Right. Having that open lines of communication is very important, right? So if you make mistakes or do something dumb, and your parents are just gonna yell at you and judge you,
Yeah.
then a few times like that, you're just not even gonna bother going to them.
Yeah.
But if you guys are like understanding, open, and just want to teach your child how to be a better person, I feel like, okay, yeah, oh mom, I've messed up here, or
Yeah.
dad, I really messed up here, and you'll always feel that openness to go talk to your parents and explain to them the situation.
Yeah.
I guess when I think about my kids doing something that they shouldn't, or making a decision that they know is not going to be good for them, the thought that I want to pass into their mind is, would this decision disappoint my parents? Not, is it going to make them angry, or is it going to make them mad? Is would I because I so respect my parents, I so love my parents, would it disappoint them? And I think
Yeah.
that's a great
That's really a
way
key
to take
word,
it.
because
Yeah.
we will say that. I'm not mad, but I am disappointed.
Disappointed,
You know,
yeah.
because
That always gets you.
Yeah, it gets them. It gets them to their core. Our son had a party. Our oldest son, that's the only thing he's ever done wrong in his life, I swear. And we went out of town, and he had a party where he had asked us if he could have a party, and we don't mind if he has parties here. That he has parties here all the time. But they're minors, and they're here and there's no adults here, and that makes us responsible. So we were out of town, and so we said no, and we're usually not out of town. And he asked me several times, and I told my husband, I said, he's going to have a party, and he said no. Well, he did. And and then of course he was trying to, we called him, of course, our neighbor is my brother-in-law, so I mean, that wasn't smart. Okay. And so so we did find out, and I called him. Of course, it was real hush. There was not a sound. Hey, Mom, I'm like, so what are you doing? Oh, just hanging out. Is anybody there? No. And I'm like, well, you're not telling the truth. Oh, he got busted, and he was just like devastated. And so I just left it at that. And we got home. It was, perfectly spotless. And, everybody, but he knew. And so he said, are we going to talk about it? And I said, I don't think there's really anything to talk about. And I said, we're disappointed. And, because, we're very generous with our home, and you can have friends anytime. And, but this one time, we drew a boundary, and you didn't respect it. And so, the disappoint word is huge. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So I think that's that's better, because you're right, Mike, you never want to disappoint your parents, you just never do. And so, but I mean, really, we've all been kids. Kids are stupid. I mean, they are just.
I mean, a lot of adults aren't too bright either. So
when you think back, you think, well, I wasn't, I've done all those things. I wasn't a smart kid either, and so, who are we to really judge? When we were kids too, they have to learn, and my husband always tells me that, my son was learning to mow the yard, and I can't stand it because he's not going in straight lines. And I'm just like, I can't even take it, get him off the lawnmower. And, that type A starts coming out. And so he said, well, Tonya, he can't learn if he doesn't do it. Yeah. And he always has a smart little tagline and I always remember those things. I'm like, well, you're right. He can't learn unless he does it. So,
The wisdom of Bojack. Always.
He's got some wisdom there. He does. He's got a bag full of wisdom.
Yeah.
If he was on this show, Joaquin, you get a really kick out of him because he has his own vocabulary. Like, people, when he's speaking to people, his accent is so strong that I can see them trying to understand what he's saying. I can see their wheels turning. Yeah.
Yes. He's got a country accent.
Yes. And one time he was talking to my sister-in-law. She was new to the family, and he was saying something about a tower. But he was saying tire. He was saying tire.
Oh, okay.
And I could see her trying to figure out exactly what he was saying. And I said, he's saying tower. And she went, oh, okay. So, but yeah, he does have a lot of wisdom. But he's also a boy, and I'm a girl. So, I have to kind of follow him when it comes to boy things because, I don't have a girl. I'm the only
You're
girl.
surrounded by boys. You're surrounded.
Just like your mother was. And there's such great things about that because they don't understand you. So they just want to make you happy, just whatever makes her happy, and they don't understand like the obsession with necessarily with shoes, but they don't have to because, they just don't understand. So, you get away with a little bit, being the only girl.
So what are you doing as a mother to prepare your sons for marriage? Are there like specific things that you're conscious of that you're like, I've got to do this?
There are specific things, yes.
What is that?
It's so interesting that you asked me that. I have a best friend whose sons are younger. Her oldest is a freshman in high school. And, so I've been there. And so she called me the other day, just so outrageous. His room is terrible. He probably has a family of raccoons in there. I can't even go in there, and how do you do it? Does it make you angry? And I said, well, of course it does. I have to prepare myself. They all live upstairs, so I prepare myself to go upstairs. But they do know, the standard, they're clean versus my clean is two totally different things. So I always say, is your room clean? Well, is it my clean? Because I'm about to go up there. And so she called me and she was so frustrated. And, I said to her, it's our job. He has to learn. She said, well, he just doesn't do it right. He's just a slob. I said, well, you have to keep sending him back in there. He has to learn. It's your job. He's 15 years old. He's going to be someone's husband one day. And, and you don't want that wife saying, what did his mother teach him?
Yeah.
So that's just a part, cleanliness. Okay. That's just a small part of it, but absolutely. And I also think that, the same-sex parent is the most influential in a child's life. So my husband is the most influential, in just like my mother was the most influential in my life. So, I used to tell him all the time, they're watching you. And he, he would kind of, and it clicked with him one day. Of course, they're young men now, and so I do think that they take a lot away from how he treats me, how we work together, how we're a team, how we run our home, how we go to church, how what is he doing. So they're really watching him and how he treats me and how we, by no means are we perfect, but what I'm saying is there's a mutual respect there, and they're learning that, and so that is a huge part of it.
Right.
But as a mother, absolutely, your wife is not going to be happy about this one, and I'll say, because they have girlfriends, and I'll say, your wife would be very mad right now.
Yeah.
And I'll say, or I'll say, girls don't like that. And I'll say, because I'm a girl. Now, I know you don't see me as a girl because I'm your mother and I'm old, but I'm a girl, so girls don't like that. And
so when your sons bring a girl, because we haven't gotten there yet. Our sons haven't started dating, like that. Yeah. But when they bring when they bring a girl home to meet mom, on a date or something, what are things that you're looking for in that girl? Like, are you like on defense mode, or are you just like trying to be just a cool mom? Or
no, I always picture that girl because I was that girl. I went to my boyfriend's homes or whatever, and I always picture that girl as if she was going to be my daughter-in-law because you just don't know. I mean, I started dating my husband when I was 18 years old. Yeah. And so this girlfriend could be my daughter-in-law. She could be the mother of my grandchildren. Yeah. And so I always...
No pressure.
No, no pressure. No pressure in that way. But I don't want them to be intimidated. I was very intimidated by my mother-in-law. And I love her nonetheless. But, and I want them to be comfortable. Just be yourself. Yeah. And, so I always picture that because you want to make sure that there's an open relationship there's an open communication. You're not intimidated, or you're not thinking that I'm judging you, or you come from a different home than us. That's okay. Or we're different in this way. That's okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do. I'm very, very conscious of it because when your son and his girlfriend break up, first of all, it's devastating, okay, because you get attached to them. And, I'm the only girl. So when there's another girl, it's fun. And my son had a girlfriend for several years and they broke up, and it was devastating to us. It was a good thing because they need to date other people. They need to do that. And I knew that, and we'd already talked about that, my husband and I. But when they broke up, I was devastated. And I cried for a month. Wow. And it was like a death. She had been in our family since she was 15. And so
it's like one of your kids. Huh?
It's absolutely. Yeah. And they're in your home every day. Yeah. All they go on trips with you. They and so but they've moved on, and they're both great kids, and we still see her, we still love her. But he had another girlfriend, and so and when they're having troubles, I try to give good non-judgmental advice. Yeah. From a girl's perspective, but also I try to be, I'm very conscious of the fact that I might want to say, well, she's a real, but but she's also young, and we've all been that before, and so
when she is a real.
Is there any like red flags or anything that you look out for and be like, yo, son, this is not it?
Oh yeah, there's red flags. They haven't brought home any people with red flags, really. Yeah. So,
but do you let them figure that out themselves, or do you say something?
I do. I always let them figure it out themselves. I mean, that's what I did. That's what we did. I mean, my mother was always there, and so I knew that. So I just always say, I'm here. Anytime. I have my ears open anytime, and and I can listen. And if you want advice, I'd be happy to give it. Sometimes I say, I'm going to give you some advice. You can take it or leave it. It's just from my experience, because I don't want to put up that defense, because if they put up their defense, like, I'm going to give you some advice, then you've kind of lost them.
Yeah.
You know, they're not hearing you. They're just rolling their eyes and thinking you're, you know, don't know anything about life. But you know, I gave my son some advice recently, the oldest one, you know, and I that's how I try to approach it. Like, look, I'm going to give you this advice, take it or leave it. It's not going to hurt my feelings, you know. It's just from my experience, and I also try not to. I also try to see the girl's perspective because, you know, we've all been jerks before, and I'm not saying she was a jerk, but I'm just saying, you know, where you think, oh well, that's my son, you know, and she's hurting his feelings or whatever. Well, I mean, that's life, and your feelings get hurt, and that's how you figure out who your partner is. But you also have to remember they might get back together.
Yeah.
You know, so and so if they get back together,
Yeah.
then you're the bad guy. You
Yeah,
know, and they're all
that's
lovely girls.
advice for
Yeah, they're
everyone.
lovely
Like,
girls.
if
Yeah.
if you have a friend, and this happened to me personally, like my friend was dating this girl for a long time, and I don't remember where I heard this, but like just stay quiet, just be like, yo, I'm here for you, man. If you need anything, let me know.
Yeah.
Her loss, that's it.
Yeah.
Because if you go like, oh no, she was this and she was
Yes.
that, and then guess what? They ended
Yes.
up back together.
Yes.
They're probably gonna get married. So good thing I kept my mouth shut.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you're on that list.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Well, she really thinks this of me,
Yeah.
and really, I don't really think anything of her because I think that they're young. You know.
Yeah, so
and-
I have
yeah.
another question regarding like of living in a small community because I never really lived in that. So, is that like, do you know of all these girls? So that way, when you know they bring her home, like you already have an idea of who she is, or are these like more or less people that you've never met or never heard of before? And there's just so much dynamic that I feel
Well-
like you're getting from raising children
Yeah.
in a small town compared to like a city or you know where there's a much bigger population.
If we don't know her, I will know. I will have some background on her because I will know somebody that knows her.
Yeah.
And a lot of my best friends work at the schools. You know, they're teachers and or they're secretaries. And so it's not just girlfriends; it's friends. It's guy
Right.
friends. Like a new guy friend might come over, and you know, you just kind of there's just something, you know, something that you just doesn't, you know, vibe. And so you know, so somebody will, yeah. But you know, they've dated girls from other communities, but I promise you that community is just right down the road, and
Yeah.
somebody knows them too. So,
So you
Good
always have
question.
some ammo. You always have something in your pocket.
I always know, really like who they belong to, and I mean, you can, you know, we don't discriminate, but I
Right.
usually just kind of know something about them. You know, my son's girlfriend that he dated for a long time. I mean, my husband dated her aunt in high school for years. So, I mean, so sometimes it's just that close, you know,
Wow.
and they're very good friends of ours, and her mother's a very good friend of ours. So I saw her from when she was a baby.
Wow.
And then, you know, so in a small community, everybody
This sounds like a
knows
good country song right
everybody.
here.
Yeah, everybody knows in a small community. Everybody knows everybody, and that makes for good, you know. But you know, there's always that downside. But yeah, that in that way, it's good for sure.
Yeah. That's where like I've never seen that before. So I think that's very cool. I think raising a child in that environment, it's much easier than you know in the city or you know where there's you don't like I personally don't know my neighbors too well. It's just
Really?
who knows, people are moving
Yeah.
in and out. It's like there's no sense of community here.
Yeah.
And I think we talked on that before, right, Mike? So
Yeah.
I think in raising a child, you would want to go somewhere where there is that sense of community where okay, I have to step out, but you know the neighbor Mike is gonna take care,
Yeah.
you know, watch over the kids.
Sure.
And so I think there's definitely a lot of pros to raising a child in
There is.
You
I mean,
know,
I've
a
never
small
lived
community.
anywhere else, so I mean, I really can't compare. My girlfriend, when she graduated from high school, she moved to Dallas, and I always thought that was so glamorous. You know, oh my God, that's what I want to do. And I went to her house, and you know, they were very close together, and it was just she didn't know anybody. It was just so big, and I thought, no, that's not. You know, you think you
Yeah.
always want, you know, something, and I thought, no, that's not. You know,
yeah, the grass is always
Yeah.
greener on the other side.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But you talked about red flags, like with girls coming home. We haven't had that yet, but if it was a really big red flag, I wouldn't just come out and say it, but I would just maybe give some food for thought. Like, you know, I mean,
You know, and I did that with my daughter.
so that
I
they
guess-
can kind of think
See,
about
Mike,
you know.
Mike, before you say, like me personally, like I'm terrified of having a daughter. So I can't imagine like raising a daughter and this it just gives me the chills. So
Yeah.
I
just
agree.
with that being said,
Yeah.
go Mike.
Yeah, yeah.
So I always
Gorgeous
want my
daughters at
daughters.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're beautiful.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
I always want my daughters. I guess there's this like, because you're a dad and you have daughters, you want your daughters to always feel like their dad's going to protect them. And so, like, my daughter brought a guy home one time, and my daughter hasn't dated a whole lot, but she brought a guy, you know, and I like literally met him, and I know my daughter's like, okay, got to do the dad test. Is my dad going to like this guy? And literally that night, I looked at her and I said, no.
Yeah.
No. And she's like, okay. And she like,
And
just
that's
totally
good
like,
that she trusted your gut and
Yeah.
your judgment, and that she was like, but y'all have that relationship.
We
you
do
know?
have, and that in that moment, everybody thinks, oh, well, you know, she just listens to you at that moment. That moment took me 18 years.
Yes.
Of trust to build
Yes.
an investment of
Exactly.
being open
Yeah.
with them. So what was it? What was it though? What was the
Yeah. What was it about it? Tell me, because I want to make sure my sons aren't doing that.
I
Tell
don't
me.
even know. It was just
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
there's something about when a guy looks you or doesn't look you in the eye, how he shakes your hand, you just get a feeling. And I guess it's more for me, I guess it was like my spirit just kind of like was
Yeah.
like, this guy's not here for the right reasons or whatever. And then that night afterwards, my wife and I were talking. I said,
Yeah.
and she's like, no. She's like, I got that weird feeling too. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, you have to trust that as a parent. You know, you kind of, you do. Absolutely, you do.
Yeah.
But I
But-
mean, those are good things to know, because I'm on the other end of that. You know,
Yeah.
my sons are going to girls', homes and meeting their parents. And again, living in a small community, they already know that boy. They already know,
Yeah.
his parent. They already know something about us. They know, somebody knows, so they know what kind of home they come from or whatever.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean they're, that just gives them some type of background. Doesn't mean really. But they're not just some random person, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right,
But it's
right,
good
right,
to know those things, Mike, because I'm on the other end. Like,
And this guy, he was a great guy. He was a smart guy. He was just, he was going to be an attorney one day, all kind of stuff. Just president of this, president of that. That's fine and all, but I was like, there's something about him. I was like, no, you know. And so, but yeah, that's where the teamwork of a husband and a wife come together.
Yeah,
'cause you can get
absolutely.
together and go, yeah, that's
Yeah.
not right. But on the flip side, like you're saying, I didn't go to my daughter and say, you need to break up with this guy now.
Yeah.
She just asked my opinion. I was like,
yeah.
she could see
And
it
she
in
could
my
have done
eyes.
whatever she wanted to with that.
It was like, hey, make your choice.
And that's what
she
we
did.
do. You can do
Yeah.
whatever you want with that information. And sometimes they learn the hard way, and I try not to be a I told you so person.
Yeah.
But that's where the trust comes in later, Joaquin, is that they go, you know what, my parents might know a little something. And so, over time,
Yeah, I think it's just when you as a parent, or not even like someone in authority is telling you, oh, you can't do this, you can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, okay, what? Okay, I'm going to try to figure out. Now I really want to do it. Like,
I
So
think
it's
that's
just-
human nature.
it's just exactly, it's inherent in us. So it's just wise to just be like, oh, here's my opinion, take it or leave it. It's like, okay, well, maybe, instead of like, no, that's not good. And then that's just like you said, it's in human nature for us
Yeah.
to want to do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So a little bit of a change of a subject. So you have a 12-year-old who flies planes.
I do.
Tell us about this. This is crazy. This
Yeah,
is awesome.
yeah.
Crazy. Like I told you before, my husband and I come from completely different families, both good families, just different, and, when I started dating him, I thought, this is the neatest person I have ever met. He's like, he knows everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we would go on a day date to a piece of property, and he would be on a piece of equipment, and I would read a book while he was digging a pond for somebody. I mean, he was 18 years old. He rode bulls. He's so adventurous. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm fun.
Yeah.
At the dinner table with my girlfriends and some wine, at a restaurant. But, I'm not necessarily adventurous. And so, he just exposes me to so many things that are out of my complete comfort zone, which is fun. And my boys get to, experience that. I do things that I would never do because if I want to be a part of the family, because that's what all the guys are doing. If I'm going to go down this Black Diamond hill skiing, if I want to be with them, then I got to
Yeah.
learn quick, and so I have learned. It took me several years to go down that color, But if I want to be a part of it, then I do it. I learned to water ski.
Yeah.
I think I was 43 years old, and
Wow.
they were all, they can water ski like champions. And we have a 19-acre lake across the road from us, so that belongs to my brother-in-law. So we can, and my youngest son, I think he was about 6 or 7 when he was slalom skiing, on the water.
Wow.
And he can snow ski like a boss. Of course, kids pick up things faster,
Yeah,
but
right.
he would just say, "Mom, it's just real easy." And I'm thinking, God,
Come on, Mom, just do this.
Right. But to answer your question, my husband's dream was always to be a pilot. His father was a pilot, and that was always his dream. Well, I'm scared. I'm a scaredy cat. I don't want him to do that.
Yeah.
And one day I thought, you know what, this is his dream. And if he's just not doing it because I don't feel comfortable about it, that's kind of selfish. And it's still scary to me, but he started, taking flight lessons. And my son, the youngest one, he was probably about 9 or 10. And he would just go with him, just on every lesson. And he's just so comfortable where I'm like, cringing and like closing my eyes. He's taking a nap. Nothing scares him about it.
Wow.
And so he knows just by listening, just by observing. Kids are just so smart like that. And he knows everything about that plane. He asked where, if they do go in a different plane, he'll ask where this gauge is, where this is, where you do this, where, where's the gear, I don't know all these words, And so I'm just looking for the seatbelt, and the barf bag. But he is, and he's actually taking his own lessons now. And
Wow,
he
that is awesome.
he is obsessed with it. He listens to air traffic control. Because there's an app, he just listens to it as if you're going to be watching Duck Dynasty or something. He's listening to air traffic control. He has listened to air traffic control from 9/11
Wow.
100 times. And you
Whoa.
really think, golly, that's really kind of devastating for him to be listening to that. But he knows, we went to New York this past year to visit my sister. We went to the 9/11 memorial and all that. He knows so much about it. It's just fascinating to him.
Wow.
And he knew, all of the details of it. And it's just fascinating that is just so fascinating to him at such a young age,
Wow.
I wasn't fascinated by anything at that age, but he loves it, and he is so comfortable with it. And we watched Top Gun the other day, and he's seen it 100 times, but we watched it again. And he knows, just he'll say, "Mom, this is where he goes through the whatever." And I'm like, wow, I didn't even know
Wow.
that. Like you go through like the jet stream, they're fixing to go through the jet stream and all this, lingo that I'm just like, that's just so fascinating to me. You're such a little kid. But yeah, he's a great pilot. He can, he takes off.
So he takes off and lands and
He takes off. Of course, he has his
What?
instructor with him, that
Yeah,
always
yeah.
has the, and it's my husband's instructor. He's a great instructor. And he takes off. He lands. He knows where, when to put the gear down. He knows how the traffic patterns work. If they're going into like, Bush Continental, which is Houston, but that's huge. Intercontinental, they do fly into there occasionally, and he'll say, well, we're going to go, they have to, make a flight plan and
Wow.
and see where they're going to land. And he knows all of those things. He talks to air traffic control, which is fascinating.
It's like a little squeaky voice.
It is, yes. And you hear him, and you're like, and he says all the things, that you're supposed to say, and you're like, that is so fascinating.
That is so cool.
See, I know 18-year-olds that are too lazy to get their license, and your boy is over here, flying planes.
Well, they get
That's
to
awesome.
do just adventurous things because my husband's, adventurous. So, that's fun. Not, my other 2 sons aren't interested in being pilots. They're interested in other things. So he does those things with them. But yeah, it is fascinating.
So BoJack, okay, so you're young, you're beautiful, cheerleader, Miss Popularity, all this stuff. So you probably had guys just wanting to be with you or
Waiting
date you all
list.
the time. Yeah,
I don't remember it that way.
Well, we probably. But so
if they
why
did,
BoJack?
they maybe didn't tell me. But yeah.
But why Bo? What did BoJack do that was different than what
That's
what
so
made
interesting that you asked me that. I think I've been really reflective this year because it's our 25th anniversary, and so I'm like, where I'm not normally that reflective, But and also our children are the age now that we started dating. So I'm looking at them and thinking
wow.
that's when we started dating. You know, like this
Yeah.
girl could be my daughter-in-law. And you know, so I try to that's what I think, you know, and so to answer your question, I
Like, what did he do? I mean, what was he like? Just
he
like,
was just smart and
Yeah.
just world smart and just mature and just not like the guys I had dated, you know, that were to me kind of shallow and just
Yeah.
not really having a direction. You know, he just was very, you know, he just was very headstrong and just was.
Sounds like a manly man at a very young age. He sounded like, instead of
he
being
was,
a young
he was
man,
compared
he was
to the compared at the time. Yes, I mean he just knew things, and you know our first date, he was taking me to a bull riding. He was going to be riding bulls, and then afterwards we were going to go on the date. So
Okay, so that answered your question, right? Like,
Yeah.
dude, if I take a girl on a date and I'm riding a bull, it's like, what?
Yeah.
Next,
Yeah.
case closed. dude.
Yeah.
What? Hello, Mike.
So,
That sounds cooler, Joaquin, than your flu shot date that you were
Yeah.
talking about the other day.
I mean, but you know, you need to be upfront about that kind of stuff, Joaquin. So I mean, you know, you were just being honest. I mean, yeah.
That flu shot date was like 9 years in, dude.
Yeah, I
That
mean
was
that
9
did
years in.
something. You know, that appeals to somebody, and that might appeal to your girlfriend. You know, I mean, this guy takes care of his health. You know, I mean, you just never know what appeals to that person. But
My man will not have flu this year.
I would not open like a dating experience. Like, let's go get a flu shot date.
no, I mean, not
No.
normally, but I mean, that's just really just jump right in there. You know, I mean, just
That's a hard pass, dude.
yeah. Yeah, but I mean, he just knows things, and I think it's just from observing his dad and all those things. But
Yeah.
you know, our first date, we went to the bull ride, and he got stepped on, so it broke his.
Oh, he was
his-
riding the bull?
Yeah, he was a rider. Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's what I
thought
said,
y'all-
dude.
I thought y'all were just going to watch the
No,
bull
no, he
riding.
was
No,
a
he was
rider.
actually.
Listen, dude, come on.
Yeah, it gets better, Mike. It
I
gets
missed
better.
that. I said, yeah, okay.
And so you kind of always kind of expect like the most outrageous, which everybody does with him, which because they think I'm crazy that I fly with him because everything's just so outrageous. But I mean, he's an excellent pilot, you know, and I know he would do anything to save my life, so that gives me some consolation in the
Yeah.
plane. But so he got stepped on by the bull. It shattered his face. And you know his mouth was wired shut for like 6 weeks.
Wow.
And yeah, and that's how that began.
Wow.
So I mean, the Lord was saying, "Look, girl, this is what it is." So I mean, either you know, strap up your boots, or you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and it's
you
been
were
like that
warned.
since. Yeah,
It
I was
sounds like
warned.
you-
yeah,
yeah.
it was a very strong warning, and I always say that, you know. So I yeah.
You knew what you were getting yourself into at that
Well, I
point.
kind of didn't, but it seemed fun. So,
Right.
and it has been fun. But that I think that's what he had, Mike. It was just interesting and just mature and just knew things, and you know, like knew anything, knew how to work on
Yeah.
a car, know how to ride a bull, know how to do this, know how to whatever.
See, I feel like Mike knows BoJack, but I don't. So I have like this cartoon awesome figure of him, but like you actually know him, you know?
You need to meet BoJack, dude.
Dude,
He's
I can't. I want him to. I want to get him to say tire.
Tire, yeah. Oh, there's lots of terms, but yeah, that was just a little example. But
not, hey, biggest heart in the world, man. He will do anything.
No,
for
he
anybody.
sounds
is
awesome.
He is.
sometimes I
amazing, yeah.
say, look, let me do the talking, you know, because I might know this client or a little better, or we
Yeah.
deal with a lot of clients who are foreign, and so for him to understand him and him to understand him, it's like, look, I'm just
far.
yeah, I got this, yeah. Because
So
I can
do
see
you
both
get-
of their wheels turning. Like, what is
Yeah.
he saying and what is he saying? It's an interesting conversation.
Do you get any like bad, maybe like reactions from people that your 12-year-old son is flying a plane, or how is that like as a mother? Do you get any feedback that is kind of negative?
Not to my face.
Okay.
You know?
cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some mothers thinking she is crazy. But no, we don't really. Like I said, there are probably a lot of people that think, you know, oh my gosh, that's insane. I would never. But you know, he's with a certified flight instructor who's
Right.
works for the FAA completely, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I mean, sometimes I think little kids shouldn't play football because it's dangerous. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, you know,
Right.
so you just never, you know, it's just relative to what you.
Yeah.
But Maybe they do, but but they don't tell me.
That's awesome.
I'd be a mama bear about that.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I just totally lost my train of thought. I was going somewhere.
Oh yeah, so I've talked to my girlfriend because I've been dating the same girl for almost 10 years now. So we've talked about, kids and everything. And I think we came to the conclusion that we're probably not going to give our kids technology until like they're 18 or something, because I see it differently than you guys, because I do see, like, it's crazy the access to things that before, when I was growing up, I had to really go out of the way to like look for something very inappropriate, or now it's like it's instant. Like you can go on TikTok, Instagram, and then you can find these pictures of women or like certain things that
I'm back. I lost y'all for a second.
Okay.
I was disconnected, and okay, so I lost you when you said you see things differently.
Yeah. So, because like growing up, I had a little bit access to the internet, but not too much. Where if I wanted to look at something inappropriate, I had to like jump a bunch of hoops. But now, like kids have access to it on TikTok, on Instagram, on pretty much everything. So it's just, I can't imagine actually maneuvering as a parent through that environment. So like for me and my girlfriend, it's just better. Again, it's hard because in theory we don't have kids, right? So like, yeah, screw them. They don't get any technology until they're adults, right? But I know that's not realistic. So I learned so much from that conversation alone, like how to maneuver that whole world. Because I see it differently because I don't have kids, and I kind of grew up before there was like, access to all like Snapchat and stuff, where before, like if a girl was going to send you a picture, like she'll send it on SMS, that means that you have access to that. So it's like crazy, and I grew up in that, and I received and done dumb things, but now it's just like so easy. I feel like they don't think about the repercussions because like, oh, it's Snapchat, it's going to go away. So it's just like crazy. It's crazy.
Well, it's Snapchat, but they can also screenshot that. There's so many dynamics of that. They can screenshot that Snapchat.
The screenshot is, it lets you know, right?
Yeah,
so when someone
it's there.
screenshots on Snapchat, it lets you know that someone screenshotted on Snapchat.
Yeah.
And then at least you can confront like, what the, but it's still like,
I
you're
didn't
right.
know that, Joaquin. That's something I just learned.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know it.
So Snapchat will let you know if someone snaps, if someone screenshots it, or someone saves a message, or if someone does anything. That's why it's like cool for the kids.
I think it's easy to say, even as a parent, I am a parent, I think it's easy to say, oh, I'm not going to let them do that, because the peer pressure, all the other kids have it.
Right.
And so it's like, all the other kids have a phone, and, so it's just like, how long are you going to stick it out? We stuck it out longer, and then shorter and shorter each time. So, but like TikTok is perfect example, and if you put those parameters on there, they're like, I can't see this, I can't see that. So you're like, well, it's just kind of too bad. But anything's on there. So it is harder to navigate. I mean, I don't think there's any right answer. Just kind of make it up as you go, which is my whole parenting philosophy. But
inherently these social medias aren't good or bad, right? I feel like we talk about this all the time. It's like a tool, because like on TikTok, I personally use it, and I can see some half-naked women dancing, or I can learn how to invest,
Absolutely, yes.
and it's
That's
both
right.
on the same platform. So it just depends on, and same thing with Instagram or Facebook or any of these social medias, because there's good content out there for kids and adults.
Yeah.
But what sells the most is the more explicit content or inappropriate content for kids, right? And as an adult, who cares? Do whatever you do as long as you're not hurting anyone. But I feel like for a child that can be exposed to certain things that he probably shouldn't, I feel like that's where the issues come.
I think Evander Holyfield said, everyone has a plan when they get in the ring until they get hit.
Yeah.
And so,
then what's your plan?
In the face.
Until you get punched in the face.
Yeah.
And so that was us going into dating. Our daughters were not going to date, because we have 2 daughters and then 2 sons who are younger. And we were like, we're not going to date in high school. Well, that's all fine, and that was our plan. Yeah. But that's not how it happened. So they did date, and so it was like, okay, you gotta navigate this and figure out the best way to, not lose your relationship with your daughters, and make sure that they're doing it, successfully, and just not, being stupid or making bad decisions. And so it's I hear what you're saying about 18, technology, but I don't even know what technology is going to look like when your kids are.
And that's scary too,
Yeah.
I think a best-selling book would be all the answers to all those questions about technology and children. I mean, not that you necessarily follow it, but I mean, is there a manual? Because that would be great.
Yeah.
They don't give you a manual when you bring a baby home. They give you nothing. So it's just it's just
and then like that's a good point that Mike brought up. Like technology just keeps evolving. So
It
now
does.
kids are in like second grade and they get like a Chromebook here in the
Yes.
school districts to do all their stuff online, you know. And then now with Corona, everything. I mean, here in Southern California, everything is still closed. Schools are still closed, so kids are doing the online learning. So like they have to have access to the internet, or else they can't learn, you
Yeah.
know. And then if they have access to the internet, you know, that opens the door for everything else. But
Yeah.
now imagine in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, like who knows? I mean, hopefully
Who
we're still
knows?
around, but who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows? I mean, the evolution of technology is just faster and faster and faster, and
It's
so
exponential, right?
it is. And so
And
who
kids
knows?
always want to be where their parents are not. Like when we had Facebook, kids went
yeah.
to Instagram. And then so
Yes.
all the parents went to Instagram. And then they
Yeah,
were like,
right.
well, we don't want to be here anymore, so let's go to Snapchat.
Yeah.
And then from Snapchat, where's the next
They
after
go to
Snapchat?
Twitter. They're on
Is it
Twitter.
Yeah, now they're on Twitter. Okay,
Yeah.
see.
And then DM. They did. Oh, she
Direct
DM'd me.
messages.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. I have to learn that. And my son said the other day, Mom, I just get so frustrated. You keep me on unread, and I'm like, unread. So I don't have that on.
You have to learn this lingo,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It just
Yeah.
makes me so mad. You put me on unread. Well,
Oh,
okay.
another thing that I was thinking about when you were mentioning something about like, really being a good parent. I also feel like if you are parenting your kids, like, of course, to the best of your abilities, but if you tell your kid not to, like a character, right? Like be responsible, be timely, clean your room. But if he sees you are a mess and your car's a mess, you know what I mean? So you have to lead, I think,
Absolutely.
from example. And I
Yeah.
feel like, I'm sure you guys are, but I didn't really hear you guys bring that up because you guys are so amazing. But, so there's people that are parenting their kids, but they're the other side being messy, being late,
Yeah.
not being organized, but they're telling their kids to, be organized, be clean, and don't be late. So
Yeah.
kids see that, kids are sponges and they absorb your character, what you do, not necessarily what you say. If kids would just do what you say, it would be like no problem, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I mean, and the disclaimer here is that we do
Not perfect.
we do the best we can, and that's just what you do. I mean, we
Right.
just, you just do the best you can, just like our parents did. But growing up, that is what you learn. When I'm thinking back when I was growing up, I learned that's where I got those things, from my mother, from my father. Same with you probably, Mike. I got a lot of things from your mother as well. I mean, we have lots of aunts, and so I took something from all of them, but
Yeah.
it is what they see. And so, I feel like you have to be really careful.
Yeah.
We're very
You know,
conscious of it.
Yeah, one thing that I'm always thinking about is you can, as a parent, make mistakes. You're going to do it. But what and my wife really helps me with this is when I do make a mistake,
Yes.
you apologize for it.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
say, hey, okay, Dad made a mistake. I was mad at everybody because I thought somebody took my laptop. And it
Yes.
was really just me who forgot I left it in the game room,
Right.
And I'm
I think
accusing
that's
everybody.
key, Mike. Yes. I made a mistake. I was wrong. And I'm sorry. That teaches them to say, I made a mistake.
Right.
I was wrong. And I apologize.
And I feel like for a lot of people, it's not even that they don't know how to apologize, but their self-conscious is so low that they feel like if they apologize, it just hurts them so much. So instead, they'll double down and be like, "No, I didn't do anything wrong," and then that the guilt comes in because, especially men or boys, whatever, like we're delicate creatures, even though we think we're big and strong. So we're not confident in ourselves to be like, "Hey, I messed up. I should have done this. I'm sorry." Our egos are just too delicate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that is key. Yeah.
So to kind of switch the conversation a little bit, so would you classify yourself as a suburban woman?
Oh, what's the definition of that?
I mean, you don't live in the big city. I don't know. So there's this big, the phrase used, suburban woman, the suburban woman, in the election right now. Would you classify yourself as a suburban woman? And if the answer is yes, which I kind of feel it is, but
Okay.
what is the biggest issue for you as a suburban woman in this election?
Oh gosh, what a good question. Let me think about that for a second. As a suburban woman, I always come, I shouldn't say always, I try to come from a mother angle, mostly. I don't really know, Mike, to answer your question.
This is a loaded question, dude.
It's a good question.
It's a good question without getting too passionate.
Yeah.
I feel like we live
One
in
single issue. What is like the biggest issue for you right now?
the
You can say
biggest
whatever,
single
it doesn't
issue. Okay, hang on. Let me think about that. The biggest single issue. Okay, the biggest single issue. This is going to give me away, and I'm okay with that. The biggest single issue is I like someone to do what they say they're going to do.
Okay.
And I feel like there has been, it hasn't taken as long. There was a lot of promises made. There always is. And, you always hope, and that's how you vote and all those things. But I just feel like a lot of progress was made in certain things.
You talk about by Trump.
Yes. And I mean,
Okay.
things that affect us directly. Okay.
Right.
Not necessarily on a moral or, or he's, not the best speaker, not those
Right.
things, because sometimes you're just, on any politician or any, I don't watch debates because I'm too cringeworthy. I can't watch. I don't know what they're about to say. I can't
My wife
watch.
can't watch them either.
I can't. I just have too much anxiety. And so I just get the recap the next day, the highlights, and all that, because it's going to be all over social media. It's going to be all over the news. And then I can just get those highlights. But what affects us directly is the economy. We live, in the hub of the refineries of America. We're run by oil. Our company in particular is directly affected by oil, where we drill, the production of oil, where we buy it from. Do we do it domestically? The price of oil, which drives the economy. And that there was a lot of progress made in those things. For example, we became more of an exporting nation than an importing nation. Well, that affects, us directly. Yeah. So when it affects me directly in my everyday life, in my home, and progress was made in those things. And that's just, you asked me the biggest issue. That was just, I can do, agree with this and not agree with that, whatever. But the biggest issue you asked me about was that. And I want to be an exporting country and not be dependent on other countries. I want them, I don't want to be an importing country, which is, now in saying that, there are a lot of facets to my opinion on, a particular candidate, but you asked me the biggest one, and that does affect us directly.
Okay, cool. That's a good answer, because it's not just coming from a housewife, but it's also it came from a point of business as well.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah,
and I
answer.
mean that trickles down to everybody. If the economy's not good, I'm not necessarily going to go get my nails done once a month, or I'm not going to necessarily. It trickles down to every industry. Maybe we're not going to go to the movies. Maybe we're not going to eat as much, or if out to eat, or if we are doing better, then we're then you want to go to the movies. But it trickles down to everything. But for us, it directly affects us in our industry. So, I mean, do I think oil production is going to be, or oil industry is going to be shut down just immediately, blah, blah, blah? No, I don't. I mean, there's just, that is a long process of going towards in a certain direction. Right. But just in saying the last 4 years, I just heard things and then saw some action in that, in that particular category. So
hey, do what you say. That's basically what you're saying.
Do what you say. And you know what? Anybody can do. Anybody can do what they say. You just hope that they do. So, when someone does, you're like, well, okay, well, maybe maybe he'll keep doing that,
Right.
but
Okay. Cool.
that's why we live in this country. You can have, what affects me doesn't necessarily directly affect you, and,
Right.
vice versa. So, or, what you think should be a choice or what happened. I mean, that's, that's why we live here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So Joaquin, do you have any more questions? Because we're gonna go into the fast five here, and we're gonna hit it
Oh,
with
the
five
No, I
questions.
just
and then-
think I want to thank you first of all for your
Aw.
time. I learned so much. Any other questions? I feel this could be a question for both of you. I was looking into a lot of countries out in Europe that they're doing a lockdown again. Do you guys think that would? I mean, I'm in California, so I've still been locked down. Do you think that is gonna happen here in the States again because of the rising cases, or no? And what are your thoughts on the lockdown?
Well, I know, like in London, they're locking down over there, and they're like in the streets rioting.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that over here, if they tried to do a lockdown again, I don't think it would go very well, and I don't know what participation would be like. That's my opinion, because I think people are like, okay, like, there's a big letter going around right now written by a nurse. It's all over social media. I heard it on the radio. Someone was reading the letter today, and it was basically saying, yeah, we can shut everything down. We can live this life, but risk is risk. And every day we walk out the door, we're risking our lives. Either we can transfer diseases or things just every day. Nothing's really different than before COVID, because we all live with risk. And if you look at it that way, risk is risk. I get in my car, I get in my plane, and I could die today, or I could be killed. So, and the letter was saying, can I sign a waiver that says, yes, I accept the risk, but I also want to live my life? You know? So I think that's where people are getting to in this nation. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So no, I don't see them being
I think
able.
people want the choice.
Yes.
They want the choice. Like, mandatory lockdown, that's what the rioting and that's what all that is about. I think I think people want the choice.
Yeah.
Now, when we went to California, we had the most amazing time. We've never been to California. And it was awesome. The wildfires were there. We had ash on us from, And,
Wow.
And also there was COVID, and so there was restrictions there, the restaurants and, outside dining was available, and, but not inside dining, and of course the masks and all that. And, of course we respected those, those boundaries. That's what they have in place. And so, but I think people just want a choice.
I like that answer. That's very good. Yeah. It's just
no,
like, if you want to stay home, and then stay home.
Well, I mean, and when COVID is going on, if I am feel like I'm going to be exposing my parents because I see them, then I need to restrict my, contact with people, and so that's a choice that I would have to make. And I think people just want a choice.
Giving people benefit of the doubt that they are, smart enough to make the right choices, again, this thing is so strange because next month it's my grandparents' 50th year marriage anniversary. So there's going to be like this big thing in Dallas, but I don't really have time I have time to take the flight, right? But I don't have time to drive out there, which is what, I would do if I had the time. But flying there to see my grandparents who are, not well health and they're old, I feel like, to me, that's a kind of like a big risk, because, I'm going to get on a plane with a bunch of people and then travel there, and then I'm just going to be there for the weekend and then leave, so it's kind of weird. I don't know what I'm going to do with that quite yet. So,
but I think the
know.
key is that you have that choice to make that decision. Someone is not saying, Joaquin, you cannot go,
right.
And so you have that choice because you're a grown adult, and,
Right.
You can weigh out those factors, what's best for you, what's best for your grandparents and all that. I just think it comes down to that.
Yeah, I think that's right. Giving people the choice to decide what's best for them and their family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, it's just like a child. When you tell them no, they can't do that. They pitch a fit. And
right.
so, you don't want to be told that. And that's the country that we live in.
We were literally like, the inception of the country was this, like, don't tell us
freedom.
what to do. Yeah, freedom.
But I respect
England, don't tell us what to
your your thoughts on it and your boundaries. But as
Right.
for me, mine might be different, but that's
Yeah.
okay. I'm going to do this.
Right.
And so, I saw a lady one time riding in her car by herself with a mask on. And I thought, well, maybe that's her choice. Maybe she has underlying condition. Maybe she thinks it could come in from the air vents. Maybe, you just never know. So that was her choice. Maybe maybe she wears a mask all the time without COVID, so I just think it comes down to that. That's just my opinion.
Good answer.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I see a lot of that here. People wearing their masks driving alone, and
yeah, but people in other countries do that anyway. So but like Mike said, I mean, we have flu season, every year, and it's it's horrible. You might have 20 kids in a class here in Texas, but there's only 6 there because everybody has the flu. So yeah.
It's just people will be people, I guess.
Yeah, they will. Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's get into the 5 fast questions, or we're calling them the Fast 5 questions.
Okay.
You're the very first person we've
Very
ever done this
first.
with.
Okay,
So,
I
thank you
don't
for
know
this.
about the Fast 5. Okay, so
The Fast
let me
5.
prepare
All right,
myself.
so here we go. Question number. So you can give like
How
a one-word
fast?
answer.
Fast.
No, I'm just gonna give like.
Oh.
Oh my God, it's so fast.
Okay, whatever. Okay,
I don't know.
okay.
Yeah, just give one-word answer, or just
Oh.
whatever comes to the top of your head. Just
Okay.
bam. All right. So number 1, your favorite book.
Where the Crawdads Sing. That was this year. It's my last book, so that was my favorite. Have you read that?
No, what is that?
Oh my God, Mike, you need to read that. It's based in Louisiana in the marsh.
Is it really? Where the Crawdads Sing.
Yeah. Or it's
Okay,
either Where the Crawdads Sing or When the Crawdads Sing. Okay.
When the Crawdad. Okay, I'll have to look
Okay,
into
but,
that. Joaquin, you're gonna have to put that on your.
Yeah, I'll Google it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always my last book is my favorite book. So that was the last book. Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Your favorite movie. Favorite movie of all time.
I'll say Urban Cowboy.
Oh, okay.
And Joaquin probably doesn't know what that is, but that's okay. It's just the old
What?
classic.
Let me guess. It's about an urban cowboy.
It is. It's John
Yeah,
Travolta.
John Travolta,
it's
man.
young John Travolta.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
You gotta
He looked
like
great
it.
on Grace.
I mean, I'm not gonna
dude.
say it's my favorite movie of all time, of all life, but that was a good one.
It
It came up to your head. That
It
was
did.
fast.
It did.
It came up
Okay.
to your
Yeah.
head.
Okay.
Yeah, Urban Cowboy. What was the movie that I said the other day, and you were like, I've never even heard that, Joaquin.
I think you're talking about Cheers, the show.
Cheers.
Oh, God.
I mentioned
no,
Cheers.
not the
and he was
Okay.
like,
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite song right now.
Oh, right now.
Yeah. What's your favorite
Okay,
song?
right now is probably going to be. We've been listening this morning. Let me think of it. "Don't Give Up on Me" by Adam Grammer. I think is who it is. That's who we're listening to
okay.
right now. Yeah.
Adam Grammer.
Or there's always Post Malone. So anyway.
Post Malone.
Yeah, there's always Post Malone. So
All right.
Cool mom.
Cool, Mom. Biggest influence in your life growing up?
that's the easy one. My mother. Yeah,
Your mom,
my mother.
okay.
Yeah, and my grandmother. If you want to kind of trickle down, my grandmother.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
She
our
was-
grandmother, but my mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, hands down.
Then
Yeah.
you could do a whole episode on Mama Benoit.
And that would be fascinating.
It would be, man.
We could do a big
That would be
thing,
so
and
amazing.
yeah. But
Joaquin,
anyway.
you would be blown away by that one.
Yeah, yeah.
And last question, biggest regret.
Okay.
Your biggest regret in life
He
so
throws
far.
you, easy ones, and the last one is just like.
I don't know how to answer that. I don't know what to say. At the age I am now, I like to think that I don't have any regrets. I just learned from those things. So nothing really comes to mind that I can say is a big regret. I mean, it's always going to be how I handled something. I wish I would have handled something differently. But specifically, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, after we stop the show, you can be like, "Oh, that's what I should have
And
said."
that's always going to
That's
happen.
how
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think life is an accumulation of things that you didn't do right, and so then you learn from those. So I really can't say regret, but yeah.
There's a thing going around on Facebook right now where it's if you could go back to your 18-year-old self, what would you say? Like, what 3 things would you say? And everybody's like,
Invest in Bitcoin.
and what's funny is a lot of them
Invest
are like,
in Apple.
yeah,
That's
that was
given.
one,
That's a
my
given.
wife said,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so a lot of people are saying like the things that like, be kind, be nice, and nobody's like doing like money stuff, and everybody's
Yeah.
like, me and my wife were like, buy Apple, buy
Yeah, invest in
Microsoft.
Apple. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of things. Because my kids are the age they are now, I always look at myself when I was that age and what I was going through and what I didn't know, and how ignorant you are just because you don't have life experience. And so I always put myself in that age. So my son's 21, and I think about when I was 21 and, the struggles I was having and, the doubts and whatever. And so I try to put myself. And so I always think if I could tell that girl, A, B, and C.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Or, if, or my son's 18, which is when my husband and I started dating, I think, well, his girlfriend, they could get married. But I'd try to think, okay, what would I tell that girl? But, yeah, that's interesting. But what I would tell that girl is invest in Apple.
Would she listen to you?
Number one. I don't know, but should be Apple what? What's Apple?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna buy an apple orchard.
I'm gonna invest in an apple orchard. And she would probably be like, "What is an apple?" Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Do you invest? I know that's a question. Are y'all investors?
My husband does. He dabbles in it a little bit. I don't. I don't know a lot about it. Ironically enough, my oldest son does. He has a few little things, that he puts, a few dollars in here and a few dollars in there, which I think is interesting because that's what him and his friends do. And I think it's a great thing, I mean, it's his money and you kind of learn how that works. So yeah, he'll check his accounts but we used to invest in more. I mean, I'm assuming you're talking about trading and stocks.
Well,
and stuff
yeah,
like
but it sounds like y'all invest in your business.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it just depends on what you're talking about. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, so that's that's where all that goes.
Yeah.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
Man, great interview.
An hour and 30 minutes.
Wow.
Did it feel like an hour and 30 minutes, Tonya?
Not to me at all.
Yeah, no, it was.
But I mean, those are things I'm passionate about. Being a mother and a wife and a business person and all those things. So but it was so much fun.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you say, go fast forward 20, 30 years. What does retirement look like for you and Bojack? Like if you had the perfect retirement, like what does that look like? Is it surrounded by your kids and your grandkids, or is it just traveling or?
Yes.
Yes to all of the above.
Yes. We love to travel now. It's a little limited because of our, our kids' ages and stuff like that. Yeah. And so, yes, I want to travel. I want to be, I want to have a place for each of my kids and their kids. And so, yeah, that's what it looks like. And it looks stress-free. Yeah. And Bojack and I have a lot of fun together. I mean, we love to travel together. It just works out. Yeah. I have a lot of respect for him because he's just, I just think he's just knows so much that I don't. And he thinks I'm so smart because I know a bunch of things he don't, but I don't.
Who's the spontaneous one?
Oh.
Like if you who would be the one that says, "Hey, let's drop everything and go to New York today," or let's go to him? Oh,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I have to factor in the kid. He isn't thinking that in those terms necessarily. Like, oh, they're fine, and they are fine. But I have to put my brain around that. And I have to be comfortable with it. So I have to have a little bit more leeway. But him, every day he says that. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's more of the control? Like the control? No, I want a freak, I guess. Who wants to have everything organized and structured?
Oh well, that's me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I live in a world of boys, so I have to learn to compromise and bring my expectations down just a little bit, But we came from that type of family. Mike's mother, my mother, our grandmother, I mean, they trimmed the hedges with scissors, back then. So it was that's all they had. But
I can imagine Mike just trimming.
No,
well,
my
not
mom,
Mike.
not me. No, but there was nights when I was in bed at 11 o'clock at night. My mom came in and said, "Wake up! Y'all cut the grass today, and there's still some hairs out there, so y'all need to go out there, get back on the tractor at 11 o'clock at night and get those cut." And I'm like, "Okay."
I mean, but living with all boys, I have to be realistic.
Right.
Because I could drive myself crazy. Bojack's very respectful. He'll do whatever I ask him to do or whatever. And he likes to keep, control of the outdoors and everything out there. But yeah, definitely me. Yeah.
Joaquin, the best thing that could ever happen to you is you get on Tonya's Christmas card list because they have the best Christmas cards.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
I always look forward to my Davis Christmas card. Yeah.
What we started, we can't stop.
I know.
And I have
They're
every
great.
one of them. So it is.
Do you really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And every
maybe
year I'm like, oh gosh, am I going to do it this year? Well, of course you do. Of course you are.
of course.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll make the list when
Yeah.
you're Joaquin.
People
Yeah, one day
people
I
have
can
asked me
dream.
that. How do you make the list? And I think that's so comical.
Yeah,
Wow.
in fact, when we moved, I think one time we moved, I made sure I gave my new address to Tonya because I was like, man, I
Oh,
wanna make
that's
sure I get my
so.
Christmas
Oh,
card.
that's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good to know, though.
It's
It's
a
good to know
commitment,
that people
yeah.
are, interested in that. You're not just doing it because
yeah.
I used to receive probably 20, 30 Christmas cards. Now you receive 4 or 5. People just don't
Yeah.
send Christmas cards anymore. So just our, just how
Yeah.
it's evolved. But yeah, so.
It's a
Well,
lost
I had a
art.
great time, guys.
I received some horrible no, not business cards, but Christmas cards where you're just like, I feel bad throwing this away, but I'm just gonna have to throw it away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've done some ridiculous stuff. So, I mean,
I can only imagine.
I
hearing-
mean, we've worn clown wigs one year.
Wow.
We put one on our dog.
Wow.
It's just, and they just all follow along. Now they roll their eyes, but
Right.
they'll appreciate it one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Sweet.
cool.
Yeah, thank you
thank-
so much for your time. I can't appreciate thank you so much. It's been
Oh,
great.
we
An hour and
I enjoyed it so
35
much.
minutes. Wow, it just flew by, and I'm sure there's way more things you can get into.
Yeah.
We could, but
Yeah.
so I've listened to every episode. Y'all are just fascinating. Like I said, I get tickled. I listen to it at the gym. I only allow myself to listen to it while I'm at the gym because it's a treat,
Yeah.
And so I
Oh,
look
wow.
forward. I look forward to it, because I love podcasts. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I haven't, watched Lunch Money, so I haven't listened to Lunch Money, so I get to, do that. So if it's 45 minutes, that's good for me. If it's an hour and 15 minutes, that's even better because I'm not going to shut it down.
Nice. Nice.
So
we're actually helping you health-wise, helping you work out
Yeah.
by going along.
yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Well, again, so if anybody wants to send you a note or get in touch with you, do you have an email or anything like that? We can put it down in the description below. Or
I do, yeah.
Yeah,
Tonya
so
576 at AOL. It's TONYA. Be kind.
be
The
kind-
AOL.
Be kind.
I haven't heard an AOL in a long time.
I know, and I gave that to Mike earlier, and I thought he's judging my AOL. Yeah, he is.
He
It's-
for sure is.
Now, I have a more sophisticated business email address, but it is AOL, and I thought Mike is judging that AOL account.
Yeah,
But it
he
is.
sure did. He sure did.
I knew it right
My
when I
first
said
thought
it.
was, Joaquin's gonna love this.
It's
email.
a little antiquated, but yeah.
It works just fine. I'm sure.
Hey, I get emails, okay? So
That's all you need. That's all you need.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks,
and,
guys.
We'll
I
have to
enjoyed
have
it.
you back on again one day.
Oh, I
man.
enjoyed
Yeah.
it so
Yeah.
much. It was so much fun. My kids are going to think I'm cool now. So
Yeah. I mean,
Mine
careful. You said some stuff about the helicopter pairing. I don't know.
nothing they don't already know.
All right,
deep
great.
in the back of their mind.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
tried to get my daughter on, and she's like, "That's social suicide, Dad." I was like, "Oh, I appreciate that."
Well, it might be. We'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still offended by that one, dude.
Yeah,
It
no,
hurts.
it's painful.
That does hurt. Yeah.
Lost all my trust. All right, well, all right. Well, have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. All right, bye bye.
Thanks for listening. Check us out on all podcast platforms, YouTube, and our Instagram page at Lunch Moolah. Got any show ideas? Email us at mikeandjoaquin@gmail.com. Have an awesome day, and don't forget your lunch money.